Hey, welcome back. In the first couple of videos, we looked at the Pythagorean theorem and we modified it so that we could have some shortcuts for finding a hypotenuse. When we're looking for a hypotenuse, inside our square root, we're going to add our two other sides squared. And for a leg, when we're looking for a leg, inside our square root, we're going to subtract, making sure to put the hypotenuse first, and as a standard, I'll just always put the bigger number in first. Okay, we practiced using those two new formulas, and then we also did it with word problems, and we looked at what happens when you have an isosceles triangle with the altitude drawn in. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's do these last two problems in our notes. The first one says to find the altitude of an isosceles triangle with a base length of 20 centimeters and congruent sides that measure 32 centimeters. So I am going to want to draw a picture on this one. Okay, I want an isosceles triangle, so that means two sides are going to be the same. So I'm going to mark them. I'm trying to find the altitude, so I'm going to draw that in. And if it's an altitude, that means it hits the opposite side at a 90-degree angle, and that is x, and I know these two pieces will be exactly the same. Okay? It says it has a base length of 20 centimeters. The base is the side that's not the two congruent sides, right? So that's this one is going to be 20, which I know means each side here is going to be 10, so that all the way across is 20. And then my congruent sides are each 32 centimeters. So I'm going to have 32 here and 32 here. And everything is in centimeters. So we have the same units everywhere. All right, now that we've done that, we can go ahead and figure out how to solve this problem. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I'm looking at just a right triangle, because Pythagorean theorem only works in right triangles. So once I know where my triangle is, I can resketch just that triangle. So I've got 32, I've got 10, I've got x, and I've got my right angle. Okay, so that's just this right-hand side of my whole figure. Okay, now am I looking for a leg or a hypotenuse? So out of my right angle, I can see I know my hypotenuse, which means I'm looking for a leg. And if I forgot which formula that is, I can always just scroll back up in my notes and I can say, okay, if I'm looking for a leg, I know that means I'm going to subtract, and I'm always going to put the bigger number in first. So I'm looking for a leg, which means I'm going to subtract in my square root. Okay, so x is going to equal, I'm going to subtract. My two numbers, 10 and 32, the bigger one's going to go in first, squared, and then the 10 squared. And now this is ready for the calculator. I'm going to come over and say second x squared, because that's where my little square root is. And then I'm going to type in my 32 squared minus 10 squared. Okay? And when I do that, oops, I didn't hit enter, I get an irrational number that goes on forever, 30.397368331. And now this, I want to go ahead and round it to 3 places. So 1, 2, 3 places after the decimal. I look at the fourth one, it's a 3, so I'm not going to round it up. I'm not going to round it up. And I'm going to say x equals 30.397. And I do know my units on this problem because everything was given to me in centimeters. So I know the altitude of that figure is 30.397 centimeters. Okay? All right, one more problem to do in this lesson. It's a multi-step problem, so I know the answer. The first answer I get is not going to be my answer. Okay? It says, during a severe thunderstorm, a utility pole was struck by lightning and a portion of the pole fell over as shown below. Find the height of the utility pole before it was damaged in the storm. Okay? So I can see that what my utility pole used to look like, right? And then it was hit by lightning. That's my lightning. And it cracked in half and part of it fell over to the ground. Okay? So I'm trying to figure out how tall was it all the way up to here before it got hit by lightning and fell over. Okay? So before it fell over, how tall was it? Okay? Well, I can see that my pole was perpendicular to the ground, okay? And when it fell over, it made this little right triangle here, okay? So I'm going to look and see if I can figure out how long this piece here is. I need to know, is it a hypotenuse or is it a leg, so I know which formula to use. When I come out of my right angle, I can see that this is a hypotenuse. So if I'm looking for a hypotenuse inside my square root, and again, if you forget, just scroll back through your notes. That's why we take them notes and have them. Hypotenuse means I add inside my square root. So I know inside my square root, I'm going to be adding my two other numbers, 6 and 8. I'm going to put the 8 in first because it's bigger. And that's going to tell me that that hypotenuse is, let's see, second x squared gives me my square root. 8 squared plus 6 squared is going to give me 10. So this is just 10. And since it's feet and feet, I know it's 10 feet. Okay, so this equals 10 feet. Now, notice it said this was a multi-step practice problem. So that means I'm not done because it even told me I'm going to have to do something else. Okay, so I know I'm trying to find out how tall the whole pole was. How far was it up to here, right? How tall was the whole thing? Well, I know I've got 6 feet from the ground to here, and I know the part that broke off was 10 feet. So I can use that information to find out how tall the whole pole was, right? The entire thing, the entire telephone pole, or utility pole, I guess we should write utility pole because that's what it says it is. The utility pole has a height of, we have this 6 feet here, and then we have the part that fell over, the 10 feet. So that means my utility pole has a total height of 16 feet. Okay, so I know my utility pole has a height of 16 feet after I used the information from the Pythagorean theorem to find the piece that fell over. Okay, hopefully that helps you with those two little shortcuts of rewriting that formula. Just you have to remember when you need to add and when you subtract, and always put your bigger number in first. Okay, if you have any questions, please make sure that you attend your sync time, and then you can stay after your sync time for extra tutoring if need be. Thank you so much for watching.